your voice and maybe something on your screen. You might have to switch off. So, lying on your backs, and no doubt you've had a busy day, or if you've not been working, it's been a hot day, so take a little bit of time to settle your body and your mind. So one way we can do that is to bring our hands and place them over the eyes, so that immediately you're cutting out all the stimulation of the outside world that is so sort of intoxicating and stimulating and enticing, as well as sometimes, fear inducing. So we're just gonna switch that off for the moment. Hands, palms down over the eyes. Open your inner gaze. Notice how you're feeling now. If there's a bit of your body that calls your attention, maybe because it's stiff or sore, be aware of that. And then we're going to do something a little stronger for the eyes. So keep the hands on the eyes, but open your eyes really wide and look into the darkness. And then close your eyes and relax them. And then open them really wide again. And one last time, close them, relax them, and open them really wide. And now interlacing the hands, bring them behind your head. So the head is supported, and it's stretching the chest a little bit. So the armpits are stretched. Are you okay, Pamela? Can you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So really sort of stretching the elbows wide. And then we're going to look up. So obviously our gaze is going to be turned towards the ceiling anyway, but look back, up and back. So it's quite an exaggerated, if you were sitting upright, you'd be looking up to the ceiling, but obviously we're lying on our back, so you're looking back towards the wall behind you. And then take your gaze smoothly all the way down towards the wall in front of you. So we're just moving the gaze back and forward, up and down. And then relax your gaze completely. Or close your eyes. So we'll do something a little bit more challenging. We're going to look up and back to the wall behind you, and then we're going to take a big circle with the eyes. So you're kind of rolling your eyes, which is a little bit strange. Oh, give me a second. I think someone's trying to get in. Oh, how annoying. I'm just going to send them the link. So you're rolling.
one way and then the other. Oh, just trying to figure out how to do this for this lady. And then relax your gaze again. And we're just going to hug the knees up in towards the chest now.
So we're going to keep hold of the right leg. We're going to hug that right knee in, and then we're going to extend through the left leg. And we're really sort of pulling the knee in quite firmly, or as firmly as you can, and then really reaching out through the heel of the left leg. And you could even sort of press the heel down to the floor and drive it away.
They call it wind relieving pose, but it's also a great stretch for the psoas. Hi, Justin. Sorry about that. I don't know what's there. Yeah, we're just lying on our backs,
one knee in, right knee in, and the left foot stretched away. And we'll swap legs, so we're squeezing the left knee in and stretching the right foot away. So as firmly as you can, pressing the knee up towards your chest. But just make sure that you're not creating tension in the shoulder to do that. So can you kind of, if you're feeling that there's a bit of tension creeping in there, can you kind of shuffle your shoulders down? And the right foot, we're kind of pressing the heel away from us, so that you're going to feel a stretch on the inner thigh. And now let's swap legs. So we're going to take the right knee again. If you're feeling the stretch too intense, you can always bend the left leg. So we're going to take hold of the right foot. And if you're using a belt, this is where the belt can be helpful. So just looping the belt around the ball of the foot. So the thing about the belt that's useful here is that it gives you a bit of extra length in your arm, so you can get that purchase on the foot without yanking your shoulders and your arms out of their sockets to hold the foot. So we're trying to, as well as bringing the knee in, can you sort of slightly slide it out to the side? Maybe even, line it up with the armpit on the right side. And again, if this feels comfortable and you want to go stronger, you can really press that left heel away. Keep breathing. And now we're going to swap legs. So bring the left foot in So we're trying to, it's as though we were almost taking a lunge position, but obviously we're lying on our back, so it's a different pose. But that sort of right angle, aim for that with the leg if you can. And the knee, can you sort of squeeze it up towards the armpit? And we're gripping the belt if you're using the belt, but not so that there's tension in the shoulders. So hopefully the belt should minimize that gripping around the shoulder area. And then swap. So we're going to, this time we're going to do something slightly different. So we're taking the right foot, but we're going to hold the foot if we're not using the belt, then you're holding the foot with the left hand. And if you're using the belt, you're holding the belt with the left hand. So we're going to see if we can weave the right arm under the leg. So yeah, it's a little bit different. I don't think I've done this with you before. It's preparation for another pose. So don't worry if it's, just have a go with it. So it may be, that you don't go very far with it, but see where you can go. Can you bring that right arm underneath the knee and out to the side? And if you can you position the elbow to the outside of the leg? So so that the upper arm is under the knee. So just play with that, and don't worry, we'll revisit this. So it's not just a warm up. Think of it as a warm up. You can roll around a little bit here because I think you do need to be a bit more kind of less rigid in your alignment to be able to kind of maneuver yourself into this shape. So let your hips roll around. And then we're going to release the foot. We'll do the other foot. So if you're not using the belt, you're holding the foot with the right hand, and you're going to just see if you can weave your left arm underneath that left leg, so that the elbow comes to the other side. And the other thing to say here is gently bring the foot in towards the midline. So earlier we more had the foot out to the outside of the torso, but now let's just see if we can move the foot in a little bit and see if that makes it a little bit easier. So it's quite a full-on sort of stretch, so play with it. Remember to breathe. You can roll around. Yeah, it's just the nice thing about the warmer weather is I think our bodies tend to be a little bit more relaxed. So in the heat, and there's whole styles of yoga that are hot, involve heated spaces. So hopefully you're finding that the warmer weather makes your muscles feel a little bit easier. So we're going to come out and bring both feet together. So we're holding the soles of the feet together with our hands. Or you could use your belt. And we're gently pulling the feet towards us and moving the knees wide. And just notice what's happening to your lower back. Sometimes the lower back will lift off. It's okay if that happens, but can you press it back down a little bit? So then you've got a feeling of things moving in all directions. The feet moving in, the knees moving out, the lower back moving down. The shoulders, especially if you're holding the feet with your hands and not the belt, just make sure that you're not adding tension into the shoulders. So we're just gonna, this might be as far as you want to go with this pose, but there is the option of holding the feet so that you weave your hands under the leg. So instead of holding the feet from the top of the feet, you weave your hands under the leg and hold the feet from the outside of the feet, if that makes sense. So it's just slightly more intense. So I'm not quite sure. So instead of holding the foot from the inside of the leg, you weave the hand under and hold the foot that way. So it's a version of Baddha Konasana or cobbler pose, but we're just sort of exploring something a little bit stronger. But if that doesn't work for you, then just come back to holding the feet the regular sort of way. Hope that makes sense. It looks good, actually, looking at you there. And you can roll around a little bit, be a little bit more informal in how we're moving. Roll from left to right. And then release the feet, and we're rolling all the way onto our side, and we're going to come up to an pause position. And actually, if you're using a block, have it nearby, because it's helpful to have the foot come onto something, or a book, or even a cushion, actually. So we're going to come into downward dog. So line your shoulders up so they're above your wrists. Tuck the toes under and then lift your hips. Press the floor away, lift the heels. Especially if your lower back is a little bit tight, do keep a bend in the knees rather than feeling you have to hold your legs rigidly straight. Drop the head. Relax the neck. You can let your head roll from left to right a little bit. We're picking up the right foot. We're going to step it forward. And this is where, if you have a block or a book or something, it's helpful. We're going to put the foot onto the block. So we're raising the leg a little bit. And then hands are coming on to the inside, or to the inside of that foot. And we're just going to pause here and let the stretch, let the stretch take effect. Use your breath. Relax your face. And again, this is just to build on a little bit what we did earlier. Maybe have a go at taking your right arm underneath the leg. So I'll just turn so you can see what that looks like. So the right arm is just coming underneath the leg. And because we've lifted the foot, that should feel a little bit easier than... and it's just, it's tough, this pose. So don't expect, necessarily that's going to happen immediately. But if you are doing this, I aim for the elbow to be on the other side of the leg and not locking the elbow underneath the leg, so the elbow's free. So it's just a way of coming a little bit deeper. It's quite strong on the hip though, so. And then we are going to come out. So bring your hands back so that hands either side of the foot. You can take the foot off the block now, and we're coming up into a lunge position. Interlace your hands behind you. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Plunge your hands down towards the floor, and enjoy that feeling of real good sort of opening for the chest. And then we can make this a little bit more sort of intense by releasing the hands and taking them up to shoulder height. Sorry, not hands, elbows up to shoulder height. So then we're opening the chest in a slightly different way. So bring your hands down, well, certainly the right hand down, so it comes to the outer edge of the right thigh. And then we're going to just swivel on the back foot. So the back foot is turning behind you. So your hips are now turning. It's a kneeling warrior that you're coming into, and your hips are now turning to the long edge of the mat. So the right knee above the right ankle. And we're just going to press into that outer thigh. And hopefully that should help you keep your knee nicely aligned. So the knee cap is in line with the second and the third toe. Sometimes I notice myself that my knee will float in away from the middle of the foot. So if you engage those outer thighs, then that should help. And then we'll take our arms to warrior arms, shoulder height, really stretching the fingertips away and back behind you. So you're going to press into the walls either side. Shoulders, sometimes they do have a little bit of tension in this. So can you kind of maneuver them? So you've got that intensity in the arms, but not a lifting up in the tops of the shoulders, the trapezius. So we're going to bring our hands down now. We're going to straighten up the right leg. And we're going to really work on the outer ankle. I've been getting very interested in the role of the ankle in protecting the knee. So we're really going to work into that outer ankle and the little toe edge. So really try and press down. And then we're going to come all the way down onto the hands. So the hands are evenly spaced. The left hand is in front of the left knee, and the right hand is, just sort of in line with that. And let's just see if we can maybe lift that foot. It is quite challenging, so have a go. Don't expect, just see what you can do. Press into the hands, that will help. A little or a lot. If it feels infeasible, lift the heel, just lift the heel. And then bring it down. If the heel comes up, okay, maybe lift the little toe edge as well. And then maybe from there you can get a little bit more. And the other thing to say is you can bend the knee, and suddenly that makes it a lot easier than if you've got the leg straight. So we're going to come all the way up. We'll bring the foot down, come all the way up, and we'll take some eagle arms. So arms, start with very, very wide arms, and then we're taking the right arm and wrapping it under the left. So have your hands on your shoulders if your shoulders are very tight, or you could have the backs of the hands together as another stage, or the full poses where you press the palms together. And we're going to lift the elbows. And we're going to drop the shoulders. It's quite difficult to get the two happening at once, but just see, lift the elbows, drop the shoulders. Press into the little toe edge of that extended foot. And then we're going to drop the elbows and round the back. With control, see if you can come down towards the floor with your eagle hands. And then come up. Keep it smooth. I know this is a bit strong on the knees, by the way, so you could add a little padding in if you wanted to. So roll the mat over if you felt that you needed a bit of extra padding. coming down again. And then when we come down, we're taking our bound hands over to the extended leg. And feel free to bend the knees a little bit, the right knee. I'm just going to let the body sort of swing from one leg to the other. Keep breathing. And then we're going to release our hands down. So just bring them back to the floor. And we're walking the hands towards the right knee. So we're going to do a little shuffling action. It's a little bit of an effort to turn. So we're turning back to the front of the mat. So our right leg is straight. We're in a sort of a runner's lunge, I think they call it, where your right leg straight. Turning towards that right leg. You can just pause for a minute here, maybe bend and straighten that knee. Drop the head. And then we're going to come back into our regular lunge. So we're bending the right knee, coming back. Pausing here. And just going to unfold my mat. And step back to downward dog. And walk the feet a little bit here. You can lift your heels and turn your heels to the right, bend the knees a little bit so that you then get a nice deep stretch down the left side. Keep pressing into the left hand so you're not lifting off on that left side. And then turn your heels back to centre, bend the knees a bit, turn the heels the other way. Heels back to centre. And then we're going to come forward with the left foot. So stepping forward with the left foot and coming up into a lunge. We'll bring the hands back behind us. We're going to use that grip on the hands to really roll the shoulders back and down, pausing here. Nice. Plunging your knuckles down towards the floor. Now, I'm aware that this is sometimes these kneeling poses are quite hard on the knee, so if you want to pad up a little bit under that back knee, because we do spend a bit of time on the knee with this. And release our hands, take the hands to, or the arms to shoulder height, elbows to shoulder height, and press back with the elbows, stretch the chest forward, spread the fingers. So bring your left hand down onto the thigh. So again, we're going to do that little manoeuvre. Just move around so you can see me better. So we're going to do a manoeuvre where we press into the outer part of the thigh. And as you do that, you can swivel the back foot round. So we're coming into warrior, a kneeling warrior, warrior two, kneeling warrior. So our hips are turning to the front, the long edge of your mat. And you can kind of really press quite firmly into the thigh, and the thigh can press into the hand. And what that should do is, well, one, work the hip a bit more strongly, but also help you align your knee. And then let's take our warrior arms, so shoulder height arms. Really stretching, extending through the fingers, broadening across the collarbone.
Noticing if you're creeping, some tension creeps into the shoulders. Can you adjust a little bit to bring, so there's more space between the top of the shoulder. So that might mean a slight bend in the arms, or squeeze your shoulder blades in. Well done. And then bringing the hands down, you can just rest them on your hips, straightening up the left leg. And this is where we really work into that outer ankle area. So, and the little toe edge, but especially the outer ankle. I think it's quite difficult to actually press down from this position through the outer ankle. So we're just going to come all the way down onto the hands now. Hands in line with the shoulders. Hands underneath the shoulders. And then let's just see, before we do anything else, can you lift the heel of that extended leg and lower it? Lift it and lower it. And then if the heel comes up okay, you can lift the little toe. And then you maybe lift the full foot. And remember, it's quite a heavy thing, a leg, so if you need to slightly bend the knee to do that, that's fine. When you've lifted it, bring it down and really press it down. And of course, at any point, if you feel like it's cramping your hip, just bend the knee a little bit and relax the leg, because you don't want to. Sometimes it can create a slight crampy feeling. We're going to come all the way up, and we're taking our eagle arms again. So the arms start with shoulder height, and then the left arm is coming under the right. So remember, if shoulders aren't enjoying the full pose, you can have your hands just resting on your shoulders, or you can press the backs of the palms together, or the palms. So it's quite challenging to hold this without sort of tension in the shoulders. So we're going to lift the elbows and drop the shoulders, tops of the shoulders. And then we're going to drop the elbows slowly, and round the back a little bit. You can bring your chin in towards your chest, coming all the way down towards the floor. And if you don't go very far, that's okay. I don't expect you to go necessarily to the floor. You might want to. It might feel quite good too, but. And then swing your hands all the way towards that straight leg, that left leg. And kind of move in and out of this. Try and keep the outer heel working. Finally, come back to center, and you can just relax your hands down to the floor, pausing there. And we're going to do a little maneuver where we turn towards the left foot. We start to turn the body, and the back foot turns back towards the back of the mat, and we're in that runner's lunge. So have the leg straight if you can, but it's also really nice to sort of bend and straighten the leg. And then we're going to bring our weight forward, our shoulders forward, bend that front knee. So we're in a lunge, just a regular sort of lunge. And from here,
Step back to downward dog. You can lift the heels and turn them to the right. Bend the knees, so you get a nice stretch down the left side. Turn the heels back to centre, lift them and turn them to the other side. And then bring them back to centre. And we'll bring our knees down, and we'll just come to a little pause. Knees down, palms, back of the palms resting on the thighs. And then actually I realised I completely forgot a section of what I wanted to do with you. So come back onto your hands and knees, take your block if you're using a block. I apologise for that. And bring it forward. And then we're just going to take the left foot forward and onto the block. So that's what that's one of the things that I wanted to do with you, and I completely forgot to do it on the left side. So sorry about that. So yeah, just it's a bit stronger. In a way, it's easier because you're lifting the knee, but in another way, it's a bit more intense in the hip. So we're just pausing for a moment to let the muscles respond. And then bring your left hand. So this is where you get to, because we've got the foot lifted, there's just a bit more room to think about taking that left arm and weaving it under the leg. So there's a lot of spine flexibility and hip flexibility with this. So, and just so the other thing just to work towards, not necessarily for it to happen right away, is for the elbow to be on the other side, so that there's, what we don't want is the elbow crushed under the back of the leg. So that's why it's nicer for the joint to have the elbow the other side. So it is very, very strong. Just pause. Just something to sort of experiment with. And then bring the foot down off the block. And if you're using the block, it's going to now come to the outside of the foot. So, and we're going to press very firmly into that block with the left hand, and we're going to lift with the right hand. So it's a twist. And maybe that raised hand can lean back a little bit behind you. So you're opening the chest a little bit more. And then we're going to bring the hand down. So we're going to move from here into Parshvakonasana. So I normally do this with you with your knee on the leg. So I'll show you the version that I wanted to try tonight. And then if you feel that that's too much and you want to try the easier version, that's fine. So we're keeping the hand on the block, or whatever it is you've got as a prop. We're going to lift up the back knee and press the foot down, especially attention to that little toe edge of the foot and the outer ankle. And really, hopefully, because you've got your hand on the block, it's just a bit easier. You've just got a little bit more space to lift up and away. And then the right hand, we're going to find a line from the back foot all the way up. So here is Utthita Parsvakonasana. So the other way to do this is to have the left hand on the bent leg and come up like that. So you could take that option if you feel that you prefer that. And don't worry, it is really hard. I was talking to a friend, and we were just saying how hard this is. So don't feel like it's it's normal. It's normal for it to be difficult. So we're going to come down. So bring the hands either side of the foot. Tuck your back toes under, and then take a downward dog. You can walk the feet a little here. Bend your knees quite a bit, lift your hips, press the floor away, drop the head. Keep breathing. We're going to do the right side. So pick up the right foot, step it forward. This is where, if you're using a block, we're going to bring the block to the little toe side and lifting the left arm. So I've got my back knee down, but it's fine if you want to lift the back knee. If you feel like you'd like to come up, then you're welcome to. I thought seeing as we're doing I think these are quite strong poses, so I thought it'd make it a little bit easier for you. And then maybe that raised arm is going to lean back behind you. So I'm conscious that not everyone's shoulders is going to enjoy that. So if you're finding this a bit too strong for the shoulders, have the hand behind the head as an alternative. It's just a bit gentler. And you can press your knee into your arm, your outer arm. That can feel really good. And your arm can press back into the knee. I'm going to come down back into the lunge. Just for a moment, pausing here. So let's just try Parsvakonasana on this side. So the hand comes onto the outer edge of the foot. So that's the version I'm teaching you today. But there are other options. So you might be more familiar with the hand on the inside of the foot. And the one I often teach is the hand, the elbow on the knee. So if you feel like you want to take a gentler option, that's okay, to do that. But I thought it's quite interesting just to try the stronger option and then, kind of learn new tricks. So we're pressing down through the right hand. We're going to pick up the back knee, flatten the foot against the floor, the toes turn out a little bit, and then we're finding that line. And I forgot to say this, but it's normal for there to be an angle in the front leg. So for the thigh to be a little bit at an angle, but the full pose, you have the front thigh in line with the floor, but that is very strong. And I have to say, I'm not doing it myself tonight. So just letting you know that these are things to work on in this pose. And then we're going to come down. So bring the back knee down, bring both hands down. And we'll just step the knee back and come to child pose. And we're going to bend the elbows quite a bit here. So it gives you the opportunity to bring your shoulders down. Because even in a resting pose like child pose, you can have a bit of tension in the tops of the shoulders. And yeah, Jill, that's a good option. The hands back by the hips as well. That feels very nice. Conscious that a lot of you come from work and might be
you know, sitting on at a desk all day, so any opportunity to sort of soften the shoulder area is good. So in a moment, we're going to come up into downward dog, so you can bring your hands. We'll make it a very brief downward dog. So tuck your toes up and come up to downward dog, and then just walk your feet toward your hands. So we come into a forward bend. Bend the knees quite a bit here. We'll come up halfway. So bring the palms of your hands, or the heel of your hand, onto the front of the thigh. Press the thighs away. Move the crown forward. So we're finding a line from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And a little bend in the knees is good. And this option, by the way, if you ever get dizziness, some people say they do, and this is a good alternative to a full forward bend. So always use this option. And we're going to come up. So with a little bend in the knees, come all the way up standing. And if you're using a block, have it in your hand now. And we're just going to take a wide angle with the legs. So we're facing the long edge of the mat. With a wide angle of the legs. And I wanted to do triangle and then a little balance. So making it a little bit easier using a block. So we'll turn the right toes out. We're holding the block in the right hand. We turn the left toes in. And to support you, you can have the left hand on the thigh, sort of pressing into the thigh. And we're just going to lift up with the right arm. And enjoy that sort of nice opening into the side body. And then we're going to come down to take a triangle shape. So this is why the block's quite useful if you're using one. And the block, there's different options. The outer edge is good, but if you bring it to the inside of the foot, that's fine as well. The outer edge is probably a little bit more intense. The inner edge is just a little bit, less intensity. So we're just going to pause here, and we're going to use this pose to open the chest a bit. So we're going to take the other arm and wrap it around the waist, and you can sort of gently pull the shoulder back and down. So it's easy enough to, I think, pull the shoulder back because you've got the arm behind you, but can you move the shoulders away from your ears as well? And that's partly why I want you to have a block, so you're not got a bit more room in the bottom arm. You really feel the shoulders moving away. Flatten the shoulder blade against your spine if you can, on the top. Look down. We're going to bend the front knee. We're going to bring the hand forward in front of the foot, and then we're just going to see if we can step up into a balance. So this is half moon pose. Have a little go. The toes turn away from the floor, and we're really trying to keep that awareness of the shoulder. It's difficult pose. Hip opening. The thigh of the flying leg turns away from the floor, the front thigh. And then very smoothly, with control, we're going to come back. And we're going to take a warrior two. So we're going to, it's quite difficult transition, partly why I thought it's quite nice to have a block for that.
So coming up, and you can bring the hands up. You might want to put the block down at this point, shoulder height. And the front thigh on the right leg, I've got mine at an angle, but the full expression of warrior is for the front thigh to be parallel with the floor. So if you feel like you want to go a bit deeper, feel free to. I mean, I'm not today, but you know, it's option. The option's there if you want to. And then we'll come up by straightening the front knee and turn the toes forward and bring the hands to the heart. And maybe just shuffle your feet in a little bit, so it's a bit more of a resting position. And we'll pause here. Listen to the heartbeat. So if you felt like you enjoyed it, but maybe you overextended a bit on the other sides, it's perhaps better for the next side to just have the feet a little bit closer together. You don't necessarily have to have a massive wide stride for these poses. So we'll turn the left toes out. We'll turn the right toes in. I'm going to pick up my block now. And press into the back hands. This can support you by pressing into the thigh, lifting up. And opening into the side ribs, into the left side of the waist. And then we're coming down very smoothly. Oh, I was going to bash into something with my block here. So remember the two options. Well, there's lots of options actually, but outer leg or inner leg are the two obvious ones. But if you want it to be higher on the leg and just have the hand on the leg, high on the thigh, if that felt better for you at the moment, then that's also an option. So let's just take that top arm and wrap it around the waist. And you'll know that normally we have the arm, well not normally, but it's commonly that we lift that arm, but I'm thinking nice to sort of do something for the shoulders. So you're really rolling that top shoulder back. And then think about moving the tops of the shoulders away from your ears. Take time to breathe. So there's a balance coming up. So when you're ready, bend your front knee. You take your block, if you're using it, or your hand in front of the foot and stepping up. Ardha Chandrasana. So if you're not so bit wobbly, then don't lift the legs so high. Maybe don't take such lift up from such a wide stance. That's the other thing to do. Have back hop, bring the foot in a little, and then lift up. Try and keep some focus on that top shoulder. And then we are coming very smoothly down. So just take your time. We're taking warrior 2. You can leave your block behind. Coming up to standing. So we've got the left leg bent. And we'll release our arms to shoulder height. Straighten up that left leg, turn the toes back to the wide edge of the mat, bring the hands back to the heart. And listen to your heartbeat. And then we'll just shuffle the feet in. So we're coming to Tadasana, mountain pose. let everything settle. Obviously, it's a standing pose. It's maybe not quite so easy to come to rest standing, but there's little things you can do to help you. One is a little softness in the knees, and a little softness of the knees, a slight bend. The other is to maybe tip your weight forward a tiny bit. So we're not going to lift the heels, but just more onto the ball of the foot. So it's more springy, a bit nicer for the lower back. So keep that. That doesn't mean tipping forward though. You're still upright. It's just a subtle shift of weight. I'm going to come all the way down to the floor and lie on the side of the body. And this is where the block or a cushion is nice. So it's very resting pose that we're doing. Lie on the side of the body. Take the arm that you're lying on, bring it out to shoulder height in front of you. Just move the and we're going to just bring the arm over the ear. I'm very fond of this at the moment, this resting pose. I'm bending my knees. If you wanted something a little bit more dynamic, you can straighten your legs. Breathe deeply into the side body. And then let your hand float up towards the ceiling. We're going to bend the top leg and we're going to just reach for the foot with the top hand. I'm going to use the foot to sort of open, stretch out the front of the chest a little bit and move the shoulder. So you've got different options here. My favorite is to hold the foot from the inside of the ankle. So the inside of the medial edge of the foot, not the outer edge of the foot. But there's also, it's okay if you hold the outer edge of the foot, but if you hold the inside edge, you're more gonna feel opening around the shoulder. And then we're just going to use the foot to gently stretch the shoulders back and down. So keep a bit of flexion in the foot and you can press into the hand and move the foot away. It's like dancer pose, but we're lying on our sides for it. So it's a gentle movement with the foot. You don't want to yank the arm, just gently tugging on the arm, stretching the tissues. And then release the foot and just let the arm move back behind you. So we're coming into a twist and the knees are going to bend. So the arm moves back behind you, the knees bent in front. So hopefully what we did with the foot is going to sort of open the chest a little bit. So when you come into this twist, it's perhaps a little deeper, easier to come into. It's fine if that top hip wants to roll back. If you want a softer twist, then you can let the legs sort of roll back a little. And then just letting the body settle. do the other side in a moment. So for you, you could just roll away from me. I'm going to sit up and take my head to the other end of the mat, but you can just roll away. So we're starting lying on our side with the opposite arm over the ear. You could have your knees bent or legs straight. Relaxing. And now let's allow the hand to lift towards the ceiling. We're going to bend that top leg. We're going to reach for the foot. So again, hold the foot from the outside or inside. I think the inside slightly more, you'll feel it more intensely opening the shoulder. So it depends what your shoulder will tolerate. So the weight of the foot, drop the weight of the foot into the hand, but keep a little bit of flexion in the foot. And then the foot can move back a little bit behind you. And that's going to open up your chest. So we're kind of preparing a little bit for that twist. And it's a version of dancer pose. Dancing Shiva. It doesn't have to be overdone. It could be kind of quite gentle. And hopefully with the movement of the foot, you'll feel the shoulder moving away in a therapeutic way. So there's more space. Stretching even maybe into the neck, pectoralis muscles. So let's just release the foot. The knees are going to bend. They're going to come forward, and the arm is going to float back behind you. Your head can lift as well. It can lift up towards, not lift actually, sorry, that the gaze can turn up towards the ceiling. And if you find that you want a softer twist and that top hip wants to roll back a little bit, or maybe straighten that leg, that's okay. I think that's kind of nice sometimes to not always have the precise alignment, softer alignment. We're going to roll into our Shavasana in a moment. So turning or rolling onto your back, but if you need stuff, if you need to get stuff, a blanket, it's quite warm, but you might want a layer. So let's just take this time to rest. Corpse pose, Shavasana, or death pose. I
was reading about it earlier, and they were just talking about how in our culture we want to kind of brush over death and not embrace it, but that in our yoga practice we're kind of experiencing it in a way that through the kind of the death of the wish for striving and doing, and which is so much part of our lives, proving ourselves and performing, and they talked about death of the ego in our shavasana. And you might find that there's a bit of impatience. Certainly when I did yoga first, I didn't have a lot of patience for it. Sorry, the shavasana, I mean. So that's kind of where the ego is kind of resisting, because it wants to be proving and doing. And there may be some resistance mentally or physically. So you might find that the body is finding it hard to relax. A little bit of clinging around the shoulders, wrists, belly, jaw. Glutes, pelvic floor. So we're coaxing sweetly to encourage the body to let go. Or there may be some mental grasping, which might be thoughts popping up, or things that you feel like you should be doing instead of spending this time. That's all part of the practice. So putting those thoughts to one side. They're almost always be popping up. Sometimes the resistance is in breath, so maybe there's a bit of holding around the breath. So when you're ready, you can begin to bring some small movements back into the body. And if you're not ready, then maybe just rest as you are for a bit longer. And rolling onto your side.
and come up to sitting. Wanted to do is just do a very brief experiment on a sort of heartwarming exercise where you just going to bring to mind a person, an object, or a place, or yeah, it could be very varied what you choose. Something that evokes sort of fond, warm, contented feelings. Could be a memory. So we're just going to, instead of having a physical focus, we're going to hold that thought just for a moment of that thing, that place, that maybe it could be food, family pet. And then, so we're holding it for a moment, the thought, the thing in mind. And then we're going to quickly shift our attention to the feeling. So that the content, warm, sensation. So holding that. And maybe there's some descriptive words that come to mind. It could be warmth, or a location for the feeling. So locate it. I'm just going to stay with that feeling just for a breath or so longer. Maybe you can spread it around a little. And we'll finish by putting your hands together and press the thumbs into the heart. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Thank you very much, everybody. Very nice to see you all. Have a lovely evening. It's looking very nice still outside, so hope you get to enjoy a little bit of the evening. That's such nice weather at the moment, isn't it? So, yeah.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you. Thank you.
See you
Thanks, Heidi. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye, Pamela. Bye, Val. Nice to see you. See you soon.